Hello, Patriots. Welcome back to Va2A News. I'm Robert Ham reporting. Today we are at Virginia Beach on January 7th, where the City Council once again has a resolution to ban guns in city buildings. Yes, that's right, to make city buildings gun-free zones. This is a strange resolution to have today, considering that just yesterday, January 6th, the City of Virginia Beach voted on and passed a resolution 6-4 claiming sanctuary status for the Second Amendment. Many speakers came today to speak about this resolution, and we will hear clips from Tim Anderson and Gilbert Garcia. I will also share some clips with you from citizens who are upset with Sabrina Wooten's resolution, who directly address her during the meeting. And finally, we'll wrap up with 2 interviews from Brendan Mooney and Vincent Smith about the upcoming lobby days and this resolution as a whole. Before we jump into it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and share with a friend. I need a lot of your help growing the channel as we continue to go forward so I can bring you the news that you'd like. I also have a PayPal option if you want to go ahead and support me with a cup of coffee. I definitely would appreciate it, as I'm usually editing videos around 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, let's get into it. The first clip I'd like to highlight is from Tim Anderson. He's a lawyer here in the Commonwealth, as well as a gun store owner and an avid WITHDRAWN supporter. Today he's got just one question for the City Council. Let's hear it now.
Were the employees in Building 2 safer because of the city's policy that they could not bring firearms to work? Were they safer? When the shooting happened, if someone had been armed and could have responded, would there have been a different outcome? Ask yourself those real questions. Are gun-free zones safe? Are they safe? Why are there 15 armed police officers outside of these doors?
Yeah.
Do any of you fear the people that are in this room that are armed? That's a problem. Somebody does, because there's 15 police officers out there. But why is that? Do you normally have that kind of security for a council meeting?
That's a great question that Mr. Anderson posed to the council. But before we get into that, let's hear from Gil Garcia about free men.
I look at this from the perspective that I am a free man. This is why I carry a sidearm. If I do not carry a sidearm or support the Second Amendment or what our government is given by the grace of God, I'm subject. Subject to what you all want. It may not necessarily mean in my best interest. For those who would stand with disarming of freedom, I have to wonder, why? Do you fear me? Is there fear in your eyes toward me because I think differently? Or that I'm willing to defend myself and the office which you occupy? Do you trust me? Obviously you don't. By supporting this, you're telling me that you have no faith in me. And for those reasons, I have to ask, do I have faith in you to do the right thing? Should I trust you to do the right thing? By supporting this, the answer is obviously no. Thank you.
Most speakers conducted themselves the same way as you just saw. Even though this issue is hotly debated and people are very concerned about their Second Amendment rights, many of them were able to present their case very cool and level-headedly. However, there were some that didn't, and that's okay, as it's our right to expend ourselves with our First Amendment and let the council know how we feel. These two did just that. I did not catch the name of the first gentleman that came up, but Mr. Jackson did have a rebuttal for him.
Virginia, you know it's coming here, and if you're not prepared, you're not competent, step down. And you have that little smirk on your face. On the outside, you think we don't notice. Everybody sees that little smirk on your face. Wipe that smirk off your face, man.
Yeah.
There is no more cutting the pick. Don't talk to people like you're talking down.
Come on.
Cut it out.
Oh, come on.
It's all about race.
Folks, please, gallery, please respect the speaker.
Thank you.
In the meeting tonight, there was a lot of resentment towards Councilwoman Sabrina Wooten. This is simply because she is the one that proposed this resolution. She ultimately withdrew her own resolution, and we'll talk more about that in the end. But you have to understand that we are talking about a citizen's right to keep and bear arms and carry in public locations like City Hall, where we were tonight. And remember, these are politicians. They don't always need to hear the best words. Sometimes they need to hear the right words. And although I don't think that people should speak to one another discourteously, sometimes speaking straightforward and recognizing what you're observing with your own eyes is an important thing to call out. All right, now let's hear from Vincent Smith about tonight's meeting.
I think it could, but after this thing has gone through council hearings twice with hours of speakers, I just can't imagine that there could be any logic behind bringing it back up again. I think she withdrew it so that we couldn't have a vote, honestly, because if there was a vote and it was voted no, it's not coming back up. So, and perhaps that's a strategy, and it's a viable strategy. She could theoretically bring it back up in the future. Her issues, from what she said, were based on the rapidity with which this came up to a vote. But I don't think she attributed enough weight to the fact that council needed to express their opinion one way or the other before the General Assembly came back into session on the 8th. Tonight's the 7th, it's the regular meeting, they couldn't put it on this meeting, so that left the 6th as the only viable option to have the meeting. There was no collusion, there was no intent to defraud the public here, it was just a schedule issue. I wouldn't go so far as to say she's working against the Constitution. She took a constitutional oath. I think she believes in the Constitution. Some folks in our society today have a different strategy for how to make people safer. Some folks think you can put up a sign that says no guns, and that makes people safer. But we've all seen what happens. The signs don't do it. When you create a gun-free zone, you just create a dangerous area. So that it's just a fundamental difference in strategy in the way people think they can make folks safer. But when it comes right down to it, the strategy shouldn't come from the government. Less government's going to solve the problem.
On our way out, I caught up with Brendan Mooney, an executive member with the Virginia Citizens Defense League, and had a couple questions about the Sanctuary City movement and Lobby Day and this resolution in general.
Yeah, so we're not completely unsure why they would put forth such a bill. I mean, Building 2 is just next door. We have people that spoke today that were Building 2 survivors, and they were, my heart tore. I'm not very an emotional person, but my heart really did tear seeing those stories. Her bill was going to try and ban weapons inside public buildings. Why? What is the threat? We all know where public buildings, they're going to be in gun-free zones. What happens with gun-free zones? Gun-free zones turn into killing zones. We have Building 2 survivors that are still mourning, still dealing with the trauma, still dealing with everything along these lines, and we're going to tell them that they're not able to carry a weapon or even allow citizens to carry weapons? We need to have the employees armed, have them have the choice. We're not telling everyone has to be armed, but we just want people to have a choice in this event. Hey, so great question. So with VCDL Lobby Day, again, January 20th, 8 a.m. I'm going to tell you probably be there. If you were there 8 p.m. the day before, you might be able to find a parking spot. Maybe. We'll see. It is going to be a really good event. So all during the month of January, we want people to be engaged. There's several other organizations, whether we back them or not, they're going to have times for you to engage your public servants. Make sure you do so. I really do encourage it. We have our own Lobby Day on the 20th. Remember, this is a lobby day, not a protest day. We go and actually talk to the people that are making these laws and rules. Some people are actually voicing concerns about violence, other things along those lines. I can't say publicly about the security measures that VCDL is putting forth, but I want you guys to know that this is being handled. I want you guys to feel like it can be somewhere you can bring your family, because you will be able to. We have a lot of good people coming out. We have a lot of great speakers, and let me tell you, I'm really excited to address you guys. I'm going to be trying to energize the youth. I'm probably one of the youngest executive members on the board or on the executive member list. I really am excited to find a way to find more young people like myself. I turn 30 next month, so I'm not going to be that young 20-something. So I might become that, I guess, the older generation. So I want to make sure there's some young 20-somethings that are going to be taking my place. A great question. So a lobby day is a professional time to sit down with your lawmakers and chat with them about the laws they're either proposing or don't propose or don't support or do support. It's a time to actually have those conversations, build those relationships. You guys have seen me on Reddit and other places saying, I want you guys to build those relationships. There's no better time to build those relationships than somewhere like Lobby Day. It is the right place to go do so. Now, a protest is saying that something has passed or is about to pass, and we need to grab picket signs and march and things along those lines. Now, that may sometimes occur during Lobby Day, but that's not the sole purpose. A protest is really an action against something. We are expecting, they're saying low estimates 10,000, they're saying high estimates of, I'm hearing 150,000, which is insane to think. Now, obviously, we can't pack all, 150,000 people into Pocahontas building on the 20th. So yes, your time to engage may be a little different. So what we're inviting people to do is come hang out with us there on the Capitol grounds. We're going to be on the Capitol grounds. We're going to be around the Capitol grounds. Just make sure you obey the rules that they're putting forth and make sure things are done safely. The Richmond Police and a lot of the other state organizations are having some trouble. It's going to be tough. Think about if you had to manage 150,000 people. They're trying to do some crowd management. Just let's help them out, make sure that it's a peaceful thing. So just come hang out. What you can expect is good, friendly, family, good people, family-friendly environment. And bring your kids out to learn about what civics is. This is really a great time to learn about the movement that is sweeping this country. And I'm actually saying sweeping the world. I've had people reach out from me to France, Australia, and other places that are saying, hey, we're seeing this. I was actually interviewed yesterday by the Australian ABC, which I was shocked they were here in this little town of Virginia Beach, considering where we are. This is a time to go out and engage. And I really engage your fellow gun owner, engage your not so fellow gun owner, bring a friend. I encourage everyone watching this to bring 5.
So today's win and a recap is another hard-fought victory for gun rights in Virginia Beach. But it could be a tenuous one, as Councilwoman Wooten could bring the resolution back at another time. But we'll continue to take the wins all the way to the courthouse, as tomorrow, January 8th, the General Assembly opens for their first legislative season of 2020. And there's lots of bills ready to be passed. One thing's for certain, the city of Virginia Beach stands with its residents right now, and we hope that they will continue in the future. I'm Robert Ham for Virginia Second Amendment News. I'm reporting on your rights. Thank you for watching.